Okay, what is up, my ninjas? I'm Strident, and I am back with another video. This time it's an update, kind of a little bit of an update to the last couple videos, and just to little bits and pieces of things that's going on. First thing, so I did this review video. You guys saw it, where I reviewed Tariq Nasheed's video review of Django Unchained. And me and my homeboy Agent O, we pretty much let you hear his statements, and then we debunked them. But I have to admit that I was more passionate and kind of angry about some of the stuff he was saying because, I felt strongly in the opposite direction about a lot of what he said. So people that are fans of his jumped on my page and they just, man, they did the usual generic YouTube response. So the thing I'll give you is, my opinions and my debunking was done with a lot of passion, and I was angry because it's one of those things that bugs me when I hear people talk out of both sides of their mouth. But the thing I will say is, I'm going to address some of those points real quick, and give you a clear, non-angry version, and then we'll move on to other stuff. The first thing is, the big thing I heard over and over in the review was the complaints about the use of the N-word, and it's one of those things. If this was where that word came from, then it's a no-brainer. We don't need to have this argument because the word exists because of this time period. End of story. It exists because of those people who were using it in that time period. End of story. Second, if you use this word on a regular basis and try to subscribe to the term of endearment, and you call your friends, nigga, and you see nigga as like a cool situation, then we shouldn't even have this argument. We shouldn't even have this conversation because you're okay with the use of the word. You can't use it however you want to use it, regardless of race, and then turn around and say, I have a problem with the fact that this word exists and that it's being used by certain people and it's being used in movies about the time from which this word came. Sorry, you don't get to pick and choose like that. It invalidates your argument. And that's what I was saying. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, okay, just read up, just read up and talk to some people. Don't talk to people who necessarily speak out of both sides of their mouths. Just talk to some people and you'll see what I'm talking about. You should listen to my homeboy, Felonious Monk, because he keeps things 100% real. He's extremely intelligent, and he doesn't take this BS that it seems that a lot of people are trying to throw out because they don't fully understand the situation. I say these people are asleep. I say it all the time, and they need to wake up. It's just plain and simple. The next thing, the whole who should date who based on race. That's nobody's call to make except for the people involved. Nobody else outside of anybody else's relationship should be telling you who you should date, or who you should marry, or who you should be with. If you like blue people and you come across blue people, go for it. If you like black people and you happen to be Asian, go for it. If you're Native American and you like, I don't know, French people, go for it. History doesn't dictate shit when it comes to who you love and who you don't, or who you want to be with and who you don't, or who you're attracted to and who you don't. So some of the opening statements of Mr. Nasheed's review, where he was talking about powerful white men that have a black girl fetish. There's nothing wrong with liking black women if you like black women. And it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic status you belong to or you have, So I don't know why that needed to be put up there as a point of contention for the movie, when the movie is showing you one of the negative ways that this thing existed. You know what I mean? So we live in 2013, you know. A lot of things have happened, a lot of changes have been made. There are a lot of mixed babies and a lot of mixed adults in this world. And if not for the civil rights movement, that stuff would not have happened. Therefore, people still talking this stuff, especially black people still talking this stuff about you should only date within your race, or you should never date white people, or blah blah blah. You're pulling people back. You're setting us back so many years, and you're making it sound like the things that, our fellow African Americans and Africans and, just people in general who were for the civil rights movement, for equality. You're making it seem like all that stuff they fought for and some of them died for is nothing. And that was the point that I was trying to make. That's why I was really angry. That was one of the biggest points that pissed me off, to the point where I started dismissing things, because I was just like, clearly he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth. And a lot of people didn't get this. They just wanted to hate because they're saying that, he did so much for the African American community. He didn't do shit for my community. I could look up where he's from or something, but I know where I've been. He didn't do shit for me, because I don't need a game coach. You know what I mean? And a lot of my people, we don't need a game coach. Definitely not a self-appointed game coach. So, stuff like that, you're throwing around a few, choice slang words and, talking like you're actually part of a culture or a subculture that you really aren't, playing that role. It works when people aren't really paying attention, but it doesn't work with everybody. And that was my point. That was one of the things that I was saying in the beginning when I read his Wikipedia page. It just felt very, what's the word? It felt like a pure self-promotional piece, and it felt like Homeboy was just trying to make himself out to be, a lot more amazing than he is. If you feel him, you feel him. I'm just saying, I know a lot of people like this. I've gone to school with a lot of people like this. And, you can make something and call yourself a producer. A lot of people do it, But the fact of the matter is, his movies exist. The quality of the movies, it depends on the person, I guess, because many of you will argue and say what you want to say. But he's working. This is his job, So some of the views that I've seen contradict other views that, he's expressed. And I'm just talking about in this particular situation, I have issues believing and agreeing with what this homeboy is saying, okay, or what this dude is saying. And if you are paying attention and you're not asleep, you would really have problems with this stuff, because you can't have a conversation on racism against racism, but then all your statements in that conversation lean more towards you being for racism. So those are the big points that I had. The last point is, when you review something, and I had this problem with the people that were angry about some of the video game reviews I did, especially about fighting games. I've been playing fighting games for most of my life, and let's just say I've been here a couple decades, more than a couple decades, we'll say, about 3. And when I started playing fighting games, I started with some of the first ones, the first good ones, I'll say. And I'm seeing where it's going, and I was complaining or, pointing out things I like and things I don't like. And I reviewed some games that are popular right now, but they're popular to people who did not grow up when I did. They grew up with this caliber or this level of, lack of thought or this style of game design, and they're cool with it because they don't know anything else, So because I didn't agree with their standard and what they grew up knowing as the way it is, I'm the one who doesn't know what I'm talking about in their eyes. See, in the real world, that's not how it works. If you are going to report on something, you have to know what you're talking about. You have to have experience with it, not just a passing experience. You have to have an in-depth experience with it. It's like when we were talking about comics. I have problems with a lot of comics, because especially when it comes to race in comics, because it's white men old white upper class men writing stories about the rest of us, lower class, middle class, minorities, and they make us look like stereotypes that don't even exist right now, unless it's in a conversation between these upper class, kind of scared, semi-racist or so horribly racist, upper class white men, you know, and so I would like, and I've always said this, whenever I do complain about something or if I do have an issue with something, I turn around and I give you a solution to the problem. The solution is simple. Let people who actually belong or actually research or actually, don't have issues with what they're happening to include in their story, let them be the ones to tell those stories, because it's not a coincidence that, the industry is run by, older white males, mostly like Italians and Jews, etc., and they don't really let African Americans and Hispanics, just minorities in general, they don't really let them in. It's few and far in between. I mean, it's changing slowly. It's been changing very slowly, but the big three, it's not, well, big two I'll say, because Image is a little bit more open because it's all about the money. But this is one of those things. But then I have people jump on and they argue, and I always will, because the fact is they're lurking and they're always going to be lurking. They always want to have an excuse and always want to have an opportunity to jump on and have something to say to counter what you have to say. The difference is I'm countering with factual information that all my ninjas know they can look up. So this is why I've had issues. I had issues and I was so passionate about my point and I was so frustrated with, what was going on in that. But I admit it probably was it probably came off way meaner than what I was expecting or what I was intending because of the way, I was frustrated with what he was saying. But it doesn't change the fact that, the dude was talking out of both sides of his mouth. Many of you like him because maybe he gave you good advice in another area, or you like his movies or something else. But it doesn't change the fact that if you listen to the video, he did say things that contradicted things that he was saying just minutes before. And I did point those things out, and I did use facts to, to further my argument, and if I was a little harsh, fine. But my name is Strident, not Whisper. Look up what Strident means. It's just, this is the way that I do things. I will try, though, in future videos, not to do it in as harsh a way, because I noticed that if you go against the word of someone that's a little bit more popular, you're automatically a player hater or something, I'm not a player hater. I'm just not playing with you motherfuckers, you know what I mean? All you guys out there to throw out the ignorant shit and just want to conform, I'm not playing with you. I'm playing with the people who have open minds and want to actually, do something and don't want to just sit back and dick ride on someone else who might be doing something, you know what I'm saying? Because supposedly people were telling me that Nasheed is doing all this stuff, for the African American community, and I'm like, okay, what is it? I work in social service, so I would see this stuff if it was happening, but it's not happening like they're saying it is, So, and the wheels of social service turn very slow. And that's coming from, all kinds of funding, independent funding, government funding, et cetera, et cetera. So how is this person by themselves supposed to make the wheels of social service turn faster by themselves by making a few movies that make his pockets a little bit fatter and don't really benefit anybody else? I mean, they might have a message that somebody might get, but that's not really, the entertainment industry doesn't really, how do I put this lightly, the realistic way. You know what, I'll just leave it for you guys to figure out. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of smoke screen going around and a lot of hate being thrown out when the message is not hate, So that's just part of my update. That's how I feel. So I'm just letting you know where I'm coming from. And I felt the need to do this because one thing I always tell you guys is that I'm coming at you with some truth. you know? So on that level, I'm giving you some truth, some more truth, and I'm keeping it 100% real and on the level. There's no phoniness. It's just straightforward, you know? I want to, I have a whole bunch of stuff going on right now, so there is going to be a period where my vids are going to slow down. But after that stuff happens, I will be back on here and I'll have several more vids and you guys will be able to check them out. I've had a whole lot going on this week, a whole lot of milestones actually, and yeah, I'm gonna get those out the way, and then I'm gonna come back and we'll continue doing what we normally do on here because it is only just the beginning of the year, and we got a whole lot more stuff to go over and to cover. We got more comics to talk about. We got more characters to talk about. We got conventions to go to. We got all kinds of stuff. So just stay tuned, all right? So that is my update video, and I will catch you on the next thing, all right? So be safe and peace outside.